Larry.
Bit of a bumble
No,
there, but we're
I
good.
love that, man. I want you to come back every week now with a new tune, man.
So the funny thing is my son just started a recorder.
Okay.
So once he got his recorder from school, I'm saying, I'm getting one too. We're doing this thing together. And he's actually been really...
He's getting good?
He's doing... Oh, yeah.
Right.
He's got my genes because I was big into music.
I'm going to start doing like a mixtape of your stuff, man. That's what I'm gonna start
The problem is next time, I don't know what that can get.
you'll come up with something, man.
Yeah.
Larry, welcome back, man.
Thank you.
Good to have you back in the studio here.
Good to be back.
We're gonna talk about something that's interesting, and obviously, it's actually close to home to a lot of tradespeople, man.
It is.
Like it's this is, I wouldn't say the word is concern. I think that I think a lot of tradespeople are realizing we can't count on the government and the governing bodies to help us get more kids and people into trades. We're kind of on our own.
Right.
Sad to say, but it feels like we're kind of on our own, that we have to just do it ourselves and just prove, I guess, our model, and then they'll jump on the bandwagon after that, right?
Exactly. Once they see the value, and I think what they're doing is they're kind of more reactionary now more than anything, putting all these, stops in play to see, what's going to stick. So we have the grade 9 tech credit that's introduced for next year.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a wonderful idea when you first think about it. The challenge there is going to be staffing it appropriately.
Is it just checking the right boxes, politically speaking, or is it actually going to do something?
See,
There's a lot to talk about, man.
yeah, there definitely will be 100%. But I'm very hopeful in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Based on what I've been able to see in the last couple of months and what I've been working on, and just seeing things just from a different perspective, in a different position. So I am hopeful in many ways because I can see the interest is there. It's just what's being done with it to channel it and to guide it.
Is there a disconnect between, like, the kids are there?
Yes.
The kids want to know and learn more
Yes.
about where I potentially can go in a career in my life, right?
100%.
But I guess their voices are not being connected to the right people.
Exactly. Like, I mean, when we look at it, the pathway is not the clearest shot. So for them, let's face it, a lot of, like anybody else, are looking for the path of least resistance in a way.
Yeah.
And if, say, I'm interested in one thing, but I can't get a clear answer as to how I can get to that, or I'm getting 5 different answers on how to get to that particular point, destination, whatever you want to call it, well, then forget it. I'm just going to look at, okay, this seems a lot easier to do. This seems pretty successful as well. Let me give this a shot. So I'm seeing the interest there. Is just how it's being channeled, and it's getting better. And I think certain places are doing a better job with that. But there's a lot more room for growth and improvement.
There's a lot of work. All right, so let me share a bunch of deets here. So Larry La Gamba is back here. You started the Georgetown Skilled Trades Mentorship Group.
Yes.
More of a Facebook group, right?
Correct.
And you're getting a lot of traction on Facebook, and a lot of people I guess a lot of parents are getting very interested in this, right?
Yes, and it's actually quite nice to see, given I didn't have that support myself. So seeing all these parents in on this and involved. So, the Georgetown Skilled Trades Mentorship Group got me connected with the local school board, and they invited me to the Skilled Trades Fair. And that was honestly, that was such a nice sight to see all those families and parents coming with their kids, asking amazing questions, highly engaged and interested. So yeah, the parents, quite a few of them are on board with this.
Awesome. So reach out to him at Larry. Is it Larry.Lagamba at hotmail.com?
Larry La Gamba at hotmail.com.
Oh, I thought there was a dot there. Sorry.
No worries.
And then on Instagram, you can reach out to you on Instagram with your own personal page, which is Larry.Lagamba.
That's right.
Right. And then I just quick shout out. I got Jason Guest tea on, so I'm guest contracting up north there in the Barrie area. Thanks so much for the tea. And then I also want to do another shout out here to Sergey from Homestar Roofing. Enough respect for Sergey and his crew, all the hard work that they provide, all the friends and the clients and the family, making sure roofs are done properly. Reach out to him on IG at homestar_roofing. His number is 647-380-0625. His email is info@homestarroofing.ca, and his website is www.homestarroofing.ca. And of course, listen to his story when he was here with Peter, show number 313. So guys, keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon. So Larry, where do we want to, begin?
So I guess we could probably, let's take it from, where we left off in a sense, and kind of what has happened since then. So last time I was here, we talked about what I was working on and the initial stages of that.
On the side, like a side hustle with a monumental side hustle, right?
Yes. So because off season, which is, amazing with being in the pool industry, obviously. So started that, had the presentation ready to rock and roll, even showed it to you.
Yeah.
We looked it over a little bit together at the end of the show. And I started making myself available to the local schools. So initially there was interest. I'll give it that. There was interest, but there wasn't really any follow through with that. So at that point I was thinking, okay, well, I'm not just going to let this die and fall flat in its face.
Do you think that there was no follow through because the teachers are paid X amount, they have so much time, they don't need another detail or line item to come onto their plate when they don't have the time or the resources or the funding to work on it?
I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is the attitude in terms of still not valuing as much as they should be.
I agree with you.
Right. And one thing I'm going to get it, I guess maybe I shouldn't jump too ahead of myself. That would definitely be the one part of it. The other piece is that, like, I'm not really a known entity by any means. Like, nobody knows who I am.
Yeah, but no entity is known until you start growing it.
Exactly. So exactly. But I think, there's a hesitation because there's a risk there. You're taking somebody in who you don't know who they are. You've never heard them present before. I know,
but your messaging, right? I saw your presentation. Your messaging was just positive. There wasn't anything negative attached to that messaging.
No, but the fact is they don't know who I am. Like, it's not like they and I get it. There's a risk when you're bringing somebody in who you've never heard present before. You don't know what they're going to say exactly and how it's going to land necessarily.
Yeah.
So I completely got that. So I figured, okay, let's shift gears. So I went direct to the community, made myself available on local groups in Georgetown. And that's when, like, the messages were just pouring in. So I said, okay, all these people seem to be incredibly interested. So
Parents first?
Parents, and then actually I had some teachers too.
Really?
But teachers, obviously, at the ground level, can only make decisions to a certain extent. There are obviously different channels.
There's a lot of hurdles.
There are.
We get it.
So one of those individuals is actually a pathways consultant at the board who I've been working very closely with in the last little while. So we've coordinated presentations. We've actually really taken that, moved the ball with it. But when I saw all this interest, I'm thinking, like, just a light bulb went off. Like, I knew, okay, these are individuals that are clearly not being served in the way they should be. So how do we channel that? How do we guide that? So that's when the group started. And it's been growing steadily. And I've been doing Zoom presentations. So I was doing it for like every other week or something like that. I would do a Zoom presentation for the new members that would come in, just doing the presentation that you saw, answering their questions. I've been doing exclusive content on there and started doing some interviews with some contractors. So the most recent one I did was with a good friend of mine who is a painter decorator in Toronto.
Okay.
So I went there, took my phone and just videotaped him doing his thing and just asked him, how did you get into this? Why do you love painting?
Yeah.
What are some cool tips and tricks or things that are important for somebody to know that wants to get into your line of work? And I'd love to do it on, honestly, every single trade if I could.
Yeah.
Like, get on site, show people what it's like.
This is the real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Authentic. This is the deal. So that's another part of what I'm doing. I've got different ideas and things I've kind of.
What's the one question that's constantly being asked by, I guess, parents, teachers, even potential students that want to get into it? What's the one question that you're hearing over and over?
How do I start? How do I get?
That's it. Just how do I start?
How do I start? How do I get into this?
So there's so much confusion that people don't really know where to go.
Yeah, because there's so many different options. I mean, you have, like we mentioned previously, you have these private colleges that are coming up trying to snatch money from people.
Money driven, first
Exactly.
of all. I'll just say it. It's just money driven.
100%. And you have, you like, people don't realize, there's an opportunity to go direct to employers or direct to start apprenticeships so long as you meet all the criteria. And that's what I'm really trying to drive home. You have pre-apprenticeships that are paid for by the government, which are options maybe to test and try different things if you want to see, hey, if I do a couple of weeks in this paid program and co-op placement, how's this going to go? And that was one organization that I met at the Skilled Trades Fair, which is a Center for Skills Development.
Okay.
They got a lot of amazing programs that are paid for by the government to get more boots on the ground. So it's a lot of good stuff is happening there, but people don't know about that unless it's...
There's also a lot of funny programs that are being offered by the government, and I know that I've met a few recently. And what I started realizing there was red flags.
Right.
Because there was a lot of questions because they're trying to make it easier, I guess, for the employer to bring on more apprenticeships. And all of a sudden the government starts asking a bunch of questions that I don't think the government should be asking about your business. And I started realizing, well, you're asking these questions to now start thinking about putting this business in a different kind of bracket.
Right.
So I get it. You're going to subsidize and give some money to a business owner to have an apprentice come in to work for you. But on the back end, you're going to start affecting their business number because you're going to start charging them, I guess, more taxes and more all kinds of stuff. And then what's the point of doing this? So business owners won't agree to that.
No, and I'm finding there's that resistance to it too. Because what was happening was when I started the group couple of weeks in, I was getting asked by one particular high school. They were having issues finding co-op placements. So they're saying, hey, listen, because part of the group that I started was to make connections. And part of that is letting experienced tradespeople in the community be present and answer questions to those who are aspiring to be in those particular trades. Yeah. So I have electricians, I've got crane operators, I've got in this group. So when I was presented with this opportunity to help this high school find co-op placements, actually was very happy to see that within 12 hours I had 3 different companies reach out and were willing to take a co-op student on, but a lot were not open to that.
Because they don't want government. Well, I'm sorry, in construction, less government is actually better.
Oh, I know.
But it's difficult to do that because they won't. I mean, I will always have a bone to pick with government, right? Like, I don't like the fact that recently OYAP received an additional $27 million funding for next year.
Right.
So they went from 50 to 77 million, right? I think we briefly talked about this before.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't see that money being properly used in that program.
Yeah, where's the return on investment?
There isn't a return on investment.
Do you know how many people that I've spoken to in this group that had no idea what OYAP was?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
you got an organization that was getting 50 million.
And nobody knows about it.
And next year they're getting 77 million. Yeah. So they've increased the funding. So why is government increasing a funding for a program that's actually not returning an investment?
And in my opinion, there are certain, like, and I don't want to paint it all with one brush.
No.
I do see that there are some boards that are doing a better job of it than others. Like, I know, for example, Halton Catholic District School Board, like, I see what they're doing, what their Pathways team is doing, which is a well-oiled machine, in my opinion. They are taking steps to promote it. They are, obviously, the Skilled Trades Fair, for example, I thought it was a smash hit. I don't think there are many other, and that was board-wide, like at least a good 2,000 attendees at that, which is refreshing to see. They're promoting that. Like, they're really going after that. Next year, we're working on something where I'm going to be going in to speak to more schools, given that I've got more of my off season to give. And part of that, we're in preliminary discussions, is to, and I talked about OYAP in my presentation, but it's going to be to kind of more so amplify it. So really get the word out there. Because the thing that they're running into is that, okay, we could tell these kids all we want, but it's us telling them that. If it's somebody else, an established business owner, tradesperson, whatever, it lands differently, which is a different voice, which is the whole value behind all this. And the fact that I was a teacher too does help.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think there are some places that are doing a better job at it than others. But
am I naive to just say, why don't we just pay attention to what's working, amplify that, and whatever is not working, we dismiss it. Right. It just stops.
I do think, honestly, for what it is, the OYAP program is an amazing program. Like, I mean, the ability to shave off your hours off your apprenticeship and get your USSD.
I know, but the amount of kids that they're turning out for the amount of dollars that are being put in.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner,
you look at that and you go,
you can't run the business.
I know.
You wouldn't survive. But then again, that's government, right? And that's where I think it's a waste where that money could be used elsewhere, like in ideas of what you're doing.
Right.
And Halton and other places that it's actually positive. It's working. It's bringing more kids in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do feel that there does need to be more, obviously we've talked about this, more ground level, like, I guess, grassroots situations coming through, because I find there's such more authenticity with that. But that's only part of the puzzle, though. Like, I think realistically, if they were able to get to a situation where that OYAP piece was really, maybe that's, if it can work to that, then I think it would be a very viable program. I think in theory it's amazing, but if we're looking at obviously all these dollars getting sent through and it's not really giving us an ROI on it, then
so how does a kid, Larry, navigate through all the white noise?
Oh,
Because there is a lot, like between
it's so much.
between the privatized schooling that says that you do this program, you pay $10,000 for 3 months, and then we push you into the real world, and then the real world tells you you don't know shit, you don't have shit, you just wasted $10,000,
exactly.
and then but they're doing that and they're milking that cow and they're enjoying it. It's a nice money making situation, and then you've got the government that's just confusion.
Yes.
So how does a kid these days navigate through where, you know, at some point these kids woke up and said, I want to be a tradesperson.
100%.
I'm interested in this particular craft. I want to learn it, but I don't know anybody.
Exactly. So that's where, and you're 100% bang on. I found as I got into, because I've presented from grade 7 to 11, and I found with the grade 11 presentation, those kids were really, even though you and I
They're
had
focused.
100% there.
Yeah.
And there were ones that came into that presentation knowing that they were getting into the trades. And I'm thinking, this is fantastic.
This is grade 11.
Yes. I'm like, we have to tap into this as much as possible. But you see grade 11, they're kind of out of the OEAP piece.
At that point.
Right? But having said that, the presentation is still good to them because obviously they're really getting into the subject selections and making definitive decisions on their forward progression into career choices and all that. They're getting a better idea of that anyway. Even the presentation is good to cement and have more wind in their sails so they can move with more confidence. Like I had a grade 12 attend the Zoom presentation that I gave. He knew he was getting into HVAC. He was fully aware that that's what his path was. His mom was extremely supportive, which was amazing. And he sat in the presentation, and after being in the presentation, he's even more confident in his choice because I'm outlining the benefits, right, and all that. So,
is he from a family of construction or no?
Good question. I'm going to want to say no off the top of my head, but I could be wrong in saying that. Actually, I believe the mom is not. No.
Okay.
Not sure
I'm just curious, right? Because there's two groups, right? There's kids that are coming from construction. There's kids that don't come from construction. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do they navigate that? Like it's exactly, you're getting different voices and they're all motivated in completely different areas. I try to provide a very neutral, and I start my presentations like that. Listen, I'm not affiliated with anybody. Union College, like nobody. I'm just a business owner.
That's why I like what you're doing because you are not truly influenced pushing a mandate. When you get into these government programs or whatever, you get the unions involved. They start pushing certain carpenters, drywallers or whatever. You start going, but that's not what we're looking for.
That's not what you need.
Now I just realized, but before we got recording, we're working down, is Monty, the government, actually just started giving out scholarships for $183K for kids to get into bricklaying.
Right, because it's a dying trade.
It's a dying trade. And I've had Mark from Craigmore Construction, and I was really respectful of what he had to say because when he got into trades, all he did was a search. He just searched and he said, which is the least interested trade? And he found it was bricklaying. So he said, well, here I am in my early 20s. I'm getting into bricklaying. Before he was in his mid to late 20s, he was already making 50, 60K as a bricklayer.
Right.
He chose one of the harder ones. So it was kind of refreshing to see the government say, okay, we're going to start this program, try to push it up. You see this number of 183K or whatever, that's a scholarship fund. And I'm like, yeah, but where are the specifics? I need to know how exactly you implement. Who's going to be teaching this kid? Where's this kid going to go? And how, there's a lot attached to just saying that number.
I agree. I mean, I'll be honest in saying, like, you look at social media and you look at some of the training centers that some of these unions have. I was actually quite blown away by some of the things that they're doing. It is. And I think that's an amazing step in the right direction because you're doing all like concrete forming, concrete finishing, bricklaying, like all this stuff in-house, not on a site in your training center.
Yeah.
Like I was blown away when I saw it. I'm thinking, why don't we have more of that? Other thing that I heard of that was mentioned in an article very recently was a co-op teacher in Toronto District School Board who had this Explore the Trades program in his programming or curriculum, whatever you want to call it. And he had the opportunity to take his students or whomever was interested in skilled trades and pursuing that as a career. And he would do, say, 2 weeks in plumbing, 2 weeks in electrical, 2 weeks in different trades.
I love it.
To give you a taste of what each trade is. Because let's face it, you and I talked about this. There's that attrition piece where it's like, okay, well, you might have 10 people get into plumbing, but then maybe 6 might back out, or who knows, whatever it is. But doing something like this gives you that opportunity get like, I would love to see that like go across the board. And I know I had a conversation with my friend at the Pathways team at Halton Catholic, and he said that that's eventually where they want to be. So
do you think that, I mean, I know that we have the top three, right? We've talked about it over and over, HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, exactly.
Those are the top three.
Yep.
And do you think the majority of kids are wanting to get into the top three first because of the money? Because they are three trades that are recession proof.
Yes.
You can make a lot of money as soon as you get all your training and you get all your ticketing. It's all done.
Yes.
You're making a healthy life.
You are. Now,
are they money driven at first, these kids?
see, the thing is, the truth is that they like, it's such a mixed bag. Like money is part of it, of course. But what I try to present to them is kind of like everything. Like it's not just money, it's lifestyle. It's like, there's so much tied to this. There's growth opportunities in that. But I think it's just the fact that when most of us think, if I start any presentation, or not any presentation, but a lot of presentations in person, that's one of the first things I ask. When I say skilled trades, what comes to mind? What careers come to mind? And you're always going to get those three. Okay. But then I say, just so we're aware, there are 144 that are listed and registered. And the funny thing is, mine isn't even on the list.
Really?
It isn't.
So where are you categorized as? Like
I would be considered as non-compulsory because there's no apprenticeship, or if I was to be on that list. But I guess I'm just a shoemaker.
All right. That makes no sense. Need to revise the list.
There should, and you know what? There are others that should.
But
be
it's
on
funny
there
you're
too.
saying over 150, and the top three are the ones that are always looked at first.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, and what I try to do is I try to really cast a broad net with it in these presentations, because I say, listen, there's a trade for everybody. There are trades on there that you probably didn't even know were on the list. Yeah. You have child youth worker. You have ECE, child development practitioner. Like, I encourage everybody, go on the list. Take a look. Exactly. See what's compulsory. And Skilled Trades Ontario website is amazing because it shows you what's compulsory, non-compulsory, what's Red Seal, and the apprenticeship requirements for each of those trades. So I say, you know what? I encourage everybody, because
do you know, Larry, offhand, which are the bottom of that list?
Good question.
I'm assuming that Bricky is probably at the bottom there, like least interested in getting into, right? So I don't know what other ones would be there.
It's interesting. There was a story. So shortly after I started the group, I was invited to do, like, I was asked to do an article for the local paper. Yeah. And I was talking with the reporter, and he told me that why this piqued his interest so much was because he'd recently done a story about a well driller in the area. Okay. Who's 80 years old. And he's saying that nobody is in my trade. And he's concerned because he's 80 years old. Nobody's there to pick up the torch. And he's saying, I have homeowners that have no running water, or have no water because obviously the scarcity of his trade. He's, I have so many people trying to call me, want me to work for them in, you know, areas that are 1, 2, 3 hours away.
And he's the only person.
He's the only person, and he's 80 years old. So when he retires, when he calls it quits, or whatever the case is going to be.
What happens then?
What happens? And it's funny, a couple of days after that, somebody in the community group that I'm in said exactly that. It's been 3 days since I've had any water. I'm having issues with my well, this, that, and what have you. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And even this reporter, he told me, like, this really, like,
it's an issue.
Yeah, and it hits really hard.
Did you find out if that person, was he approached by anybody to take it over, to learn, to train? That he,
from the conversation I had with the reporter, it just seemed like he was just kind of.
I mean, then again, in today's day, you talk to a kid, hey, do you want to be a well? Like, it's just no,
exactly,
not really.
I know.
That's definitely bottom on the list.
But you see, it is, and I know you and I have had a conversation about this too. And there's another part of it that I want to attach to that conversation. We're talking about, you know, this whole idea, like it could be on TikTok and you could be making all this money on social media. You know what's so cool to see is all these tradespeople on there showcasing their trades, doing incredibly well on social media. Friends of mine who have amazing following. They're being brand ambassadors. They're obviously monetizing this. So I get where they're coming from. Obviously, the content in which they're delivering, like these kids.
There's a fine line. There's a fine line between at some point you sell your soul to the influencing gods.
Yes, exactly.
And then I like following the people that are on social media that I have a lot of respect for, because I could see that they haven't been influenced by those,
right? You
know, those entities, right? And even recently, I saw a trim carpenter use foam in between his shims for his door jam connections, right, and installations. And I was like,
is that a huge faux pas or what? I mean,
no.
I'm
It's,
not.
I thought first thought I thought was like, that's a clever idea. I'm thinking to myself, that's a clever idea because we only put shims at the top, bottom, strike latch, hinges, right? Everything else is a void.
Right.
So then this guy was putting foam, non increasing expanding foam, like more of a window foam, and then it's making more solid. So what do I do? First of all, I just send it off to a bunch of trim guys that have been on the show or that I know, and I'm like, thoughts? He goes, we get clients that ask this specifically, and I go, okay, well, bottom line is there a difference? He goes, huge. The door and everything is much more solid. It feels heavier, especially if you're dealing with heavier doors and you're dealing with 3 hinges. And I'm like, you know what? Now that I've spoken to these guys, now that I saw that, I'm like, okay, it wasn't a pushing buying, I'm an influencer brand. It was just a neat little trick. And I was like, I want to try that next.
Interesting.
I totally believe in that. So now I'm going to drink that Kool-Aid and just try it. And I bet you any money it will feel. And I do like, I've always chosen solid wood doors over hollow core doors. I've always chosen 3/4 poplar for jams instead of finger joint half inch. So now here's one more thing that I can do that will help. So I agree with you about, there's that fine line. And I'm very respectful to all the trades that are sharing that. There's a lot of trades that don't want to share everything because they still have their own little, And
of course.
And you want to respect that. If anything, reach out to that tradesperson because they will tell you in person. They just don't want it completely out there online, right? So those are the educators. Those are the ones that are actually sparking interest to a lot of these kids that are trying to get into the industry because these kids are definitely influenced by a lot of these people online. But I'm hoping that they can smell the influencing gods, right?
Exactly.
That's the only thing.
And I think, like there's a lot of good things happening with that. But I mean, first and foremost, it almost kind of calls into question, I guess, and this is just in general what's being presented to these kids in these schools, the statistics and all the numbers. Like, let's face it, any high school, when they talk about or they use metrics to describe their success or student success, what are we hearing? We're hearing such and such percent of our students get into their top choice university, right? We're getting those statistics. Such and such percent of our student body gets...
Okay, I'm not a teacher.
Yes.
I'm not a parent.
Right.
Who cares?
For us. But as a parent, though, you then go, hey, this is nice. This school really prepares the students for university.
But if that student goes to university and that student's partying and smashing it and grades suck and then they are kicked out or they quit, I want those stats.
Right, exactly. And that's the point I want to make here is that the statistics that are being presented right now and are broadcasted, they get their top program. It's all about post-secondary university.
Yeah.
And these statistics are incredibly shallow, short-sighted, and they're not providing any long-term. I know, having been in that trench, how many of these students end up changing programs, how many of these students end up in careers that have nothing to do with what they studied in university. Yeah. I'm a prime example of that. So exactly. One thing that's the whole attitude shift that needs to happen at the school level is those statistics, in my opinion, I think we should be throwing away.
Are they doing that for trades?
No, they're not. But my thinking is that I would love to know, okay, the statistics I care about. I want to learn about, okay, out of all your graduates, which ones have found fulfilling careers, which ones are happy in what they're doing, regardless of what it is.
Get past that point of entry and find out the point of exit.
Exactly. What's the financial piece here?
Yeah.
How much in debt are these students, and
that's another component.
Which programs are causing these kids to go the most in debt? Okay, how quickly or which ones are the ones that are becoming more financially free?
But the schools will never share that information, right?
And I don't know if they care about it.
Sure, they got into York, they got into U of T, they got into McGill, they got into all kinds of prestigious schools.
But
they racked up 6 figures.
Yes.
They finished their education, and they're unemployed.
Yeah.
Well, show me that stat.
Thank you.
If that's an actual fact, I like to know that because that's going to influence me whether or not I care if my child goes into that school.
Exactly, and that's a bit of the presentation of what I give. I say, listen, like I have nothing against any profession or anything of that nature, but I say, listen, and I understand some of you might have, and I tell them all very point blank, and I have the numbers in front of me, and I think I showed you that last time too. maybe you have family or friends that could hook you up or connect you to a firm or to a job or whatever the case is. Or maybe you have an RESP that you've been saving for. Maybe you have a genuine passion and interest for this line of work. I'm not going to take that away from you.
Yeah.
But if you are the type of person that is going into this line of work because you think you're going to make a lot of money and you see maybe Suits, you're watching that show and you're influenced by all this, and it sounds ridiculous, but I can't tell you how many people actually have this line of thinking going in. Then
they'll watch a program and they believe that that's the real version of what it is.
So I was in criminology at York University.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned
the entrance average to get into that program was like something like 85% to get in. Okay. Had nothing to do with the academic rigor of the program or anything like that. It had to do mainly because at the time CSI had come out and everybody thought criminology was CSI. I'm not BSing you.
Really?
The demand for that program was insane. Wow. It was crazy. Yeah. So they had to up the admissions average to weed out and cut down the demand. So it's not, and I know people that have gone into law or whatever it is because, we know that they make a lot of cash. I want to drive a nice fancy car. But then you see some of these guys coming out of their articling positions making 50, 60K after spending 106,000.
And still carrying that debt.
Yes.
And then none of that debt's forgivable.
There you go. And you know what? One of the interviews I did was with a former student who is he's the CEO of Penny Drops. So he is essentially trying to push financial literacy to all students in the country.
Great idea.
And I asked him, I said, Joe, what are some of the ramifications? So say let's take Mr. Plummer here who has no debt because he did OEAP or he did, for example, an apprenticeship at a high school. He's making 100,000. We have Joe Blow here on the left who is a lawyer, has 106,000. He's 106,000 in debt. Maybe he's making 100,000 too. I'm just saying we're making their income pretty much neck and neck. Yeah. One's got more debt than the other. How do the banks view that? And he says, well, it's going to essentially determine the interest rate that they're going to get. So chances are this guy's going to have a higher interest rate because he owes more. He owes more. Like the odds get stacked against you. Nobody talks about this stuff. Nobody talks about this stuff because you graduate, you want to get a car. You probably want to get a mortgage or something to that nature. You don't know what the impact of that type of debt is going to have when you're trying to move forward in life. It's like a dark cloud.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, it's a dark cloud that's going to keep following you until you chip at it. Which how long is that going to take? That's another statistic I'd like to know too.
I mean, the other also you got lawyers coming out of school and they have to start living a certain lifestyle to just start socializing, to build relationships. So now you're looking for clientele or you're looking for employment and it costs money. So now you're going out to bars, restaurants, events. Plumbers are not doing that.
No, and God forbid you show up in a Toyota Camry.
You can't do that.
Like, let's face it.
Unless there's an Uber sticker on it.
There you go. Like, it's incredibly image driven.
Yeah.
Very image driven. And it's not the only profession that's like that too. Right?
There's a lot of them that are like that. So there's already a disadvantage for that student to come out of education and start a career versus a trade to start a career.
But isn't that interesting? You have certain professions that care about image. Like there's no like what's the substance there in a trade? If you don't know what you're doing, if your service and your workmanship, whatever the case is awful, like that's the substance, right? That's what we need.
Do a lot of these students do they not look at any city sightline and just look at tower after tower after tower and then communities and all of this stuff is being built? It's not being built by Joe Schmo.
No, it's not.
It's being built by multi-billion-dollar companies that started swinging a hammer at some point, started swinging a hammer. From the bottom. I'm pretty sure that I could say that almost every construction company that ever started from the bottom.
Exactly.
They didn't just dive right in. All of a sudden, here's a whack of money and I'm going to build a huge corporation. No, everyone started at a low point.
Should be an inspiration. And it should be like a target for them to.
That's how I would think that you would look. Like I really wish the kids that are listening that they realize that just walk around town in any city that you're in. Mm-hmm. That whole infrastructure there was built by tradespeople.
But you want to know what's even cooler too? Like it's 100% exactly like bang on. Like even just like at the micro level, just like even just those working for those companies, they are compensated very well. Like, and I show them, and I've been very grateful to the individuals in the mentorship group because they're sharing their union contracts. So if I look at, maybe I shouldn't tell them say exactly which is, but a lot of them, the average, what I'm seeing, first year apprentice, you're 28 an hour.
Yeah.
28 an hour, 40 hours a week, 50 out of 52 weeks out of the year, you're making 50 plus thousand, which somebody out of university is going to be more than happy to be making. Okay.
Because they have 100,000 in debt to pay off.
Right. So.
But that kid doesn't have that 100 grand.
It does not. So 20, you're starting off, you don't even know what, you know what I mean? You don't even know what's left from right at that stage. You're getting paid incredibly well. You become licensed, you're close to 50 an hour. And that's with no responsibilities. You're not a foreman. You're not by any means. On top of that, so there was, I got this part, I guess I'll say, like, cause it's actually, you can look it up online. It's not hidden by any means.
No.
So an iron worker in the group shared his benefits package with us.
Well, I can only imagine.
I was blown away.
I can only imagine.
Laser eye surgery covered 95%.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
95% laser. And I'm thinking, because I got laser eye 2-3 years ago, that wasn't cheap. I had to pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
95% coverage up to, I think, 5,000 or 6,000. Poof, sign me up. Braces for kids, 95% coverage up to 6,000. Per service that was not covered, BioHip was, if I'm not mistaken, so we're talking like chiropractic, massage, was between 3,500 and 5,000 a year. When I was teaching, I was lucky to get $750 each service. I blew through all of that in a heartbeat. When I hurt my back years ago,
I had no idea that that's what you're access to.
Yeah. But who's telling these kids
Nobody is telling them that.
Here you are.
But then again, also, I'm going back to the bottom of the list. Iron workers at the bottom of the list.
It is, but I mean, like, it's one of those things where, like, I tell them, like, you see all these in demand, high in demand. Like, I tell them the value of chasing what's in demand, right? You don't want to be the 500th person in line, just twiddling your thumbs. Hopefully they give you a call. You want to be in that position. So, iron worker, bricklayer, whatever it is, we know that they're very well compensated. And the best part is their overtime is double time. Weekends, double time. So you're close to $100 an hour now. The more you work, and I pitch it to them and say, listen, most of those professional situations are salary. So you do 60 hours 1 week, 40 1 week, 70 the other week. It's all the same money you're getting.
Yeah.
You work more here, you get paid more.
Is that the famous argument that you get a lot from tradespeople saying that we want these trades to be in demand because we're going to start dictating our own rate and then we'll be asking for whatever we can ask for, like what bricklayers, ironworkers are asking for.
Right.
And they're getting it. But then you've got the flip side where you got the big three, you've got the middle where you start going with framing and trim carpentry and you get drywallers and things like that. And then they're all fighting for any kind of rate because there's so much competition out there that clients and builders will just pay whatever.
Right.
And then you want work, take it. If you don't want work, don't take it.
Right.
Which is not really fair. So we've got extremes, top, bottom, the middle, everyone's fighting.
Yeah, it's
really a little unfairness, right?
There can be. Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, it's all supply and demand driven, obviously. It's just.
But we need iron workers. We need bricklayers.
Absolutely.
We need all the trades, right? That's the thing about it. Let me do a quick shout out here. Speaking of a trade here, Rob from Galaxy Plumbing wants to be the first and only call for residential and commercial plumbing repairs. He handles leak detections, drain camera inspections, drain snaking, and drain jetting. I don't even know what drain jetting is.
Is that the water blasting?
Is that what it is? Yeah,
so.
But into a waistline. Yeah, I've spoken to guys. Shower cartridge replacements for standard or luxury showers, water filtration, installation of faucets and toilets. And the more complicated, the more Galaxy wants to help you. Reach out to them on IG, Galaxy Plumbing Inc. Email rob at galaxyplumbinginc.ca. And then his website is galaxyplumbinginc.ca. And of course, check out his show, which is show number 33, where he tells his whole story. That's it, man. Larry.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so how are the parents? Have they changed now? Are they really being supportive of this? Because it wasn't too long ago that parents, my kid is not going into trades.
Right. So what I'm seeing, can't really say if attitudes are changing specifically, but what I'm seeing is that there are a good number of parents that are very supportive of it. So it's like tap into that, right? You might there are parents out there that really do see the value in it and are 100% full-fledged into their kids becoming tradespeople, which is amazing. So run with that ball because, like I said, it was amazing at that skilled trades fair, and I was talking to my friend who's at the board there, And just all these parents seeing each other, and in that volume, like you become more confident in moving forward with this because you see you're part of a huge community.
We're not the only ones.
And there you go. So we're all moving together on this journey. So things like that I think are incredibly important. Other boards, from what I see, are still doing virtual events and all that, which you don't get that FaceTime and you don't see that to the same degree. But that was an extreme positive from that event in specific. But I'm seeing a good number of them, right? And although most of the people that have joined the group are parents who saw what I was presenting and doing and so on, and they're saying, I want more information for my son. And here's another group that is interesting too. So, because it's funny, like when you start up anything, any venture, you don't really have any idea as to what direction things are going to go in. So started things up, doing my thing, and all of a sudden I start getting, outside of Georgetown, I start getting individuals that are homeschooling their kids.
You get a lot more parents doing that.
Yes.
I know.
And you know what? I tip my hat off to them. I admire it so much. And
second, third job now, right?
Absolutely is. And truthfully, like, and a lot of these parents in these situations love the trades. Some of them are tradespeople. And you can imagine a student that's in school that we talked about, the pathway is already ambiguous as it is. It's even that much more ambiguous for them because they're not going after the OSSD like anybody else is. Yeah. So part of what I was doing was my own research and calling the ministry and kind of getting things together and really getting the most concise information to give to them on how can they get to that point. So and since then, there have been quite a few parents that are homeschooling, unschooling kids in the group that are following and engaging with the material that I'm giving them to get them more direction. So as we know, they're not going to be going after the OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, like a student going to school would. So they have different options because these requirements that are set out by employers, unions, to apprentice and all that, they require OSSD, the secondary school diploma, or a grade 12 math, grade 12 English. It's usually the top two what you see. So their options are the GED certificate, the ACE certificate, which a lot of them knew about the GED, not a lot of them knew about ACE, which is offered by the public colleges. And then in some instances, depending on your home school board, you do have the option to essentially try to follow the curriculum of your home school board and try to see if they'll recognize and give you the OSSD. Yeah. Obviously, that's going to be on a case-by-case basis and in a regional basis. I don't think every school board is going to do that. But I think the GED and the ACE is more than sufficient to get you to that equivalency of the OSSD to be able to push the ball forward, to go forward in the apprenticeship process. So stuff like that, little nuances. So here.
Is there a little bit of selfishness when it comes to the parents? Because, I mean, I've got 4 siblings. Mm-hmm. The only reason my siblings call me most of the time is to fucking build something or to, fix something. Yeah. Right? So it's like I just assume that every family needs that one member that knows a thing or two about the trades.
Right.
Because as selfish parents, I'm assuming most of the parents you're probably talking to are probably in their 40s, maybe late 30s, early 40s, maybe mid 40s kind of thing.
Sure.
Around that age group.
Sure, 40.
So they're thinking, let's get our son or daughter into trades because we're going to want to renovate our house when the kids all get the hell out, and we don't want to hire somebody else. We want to hire in family. Like that's a little bit of selfishness is all I'm thinking.
It's interesting you say. I never thought of it. I never thought of it.
I look at it that whenever I see my phone and it's one of my siblings, and I'm like,
these guys want
I
something.
already know it's not. Hey, how you doing? Hey, can you come by and take care of this? Yeah,
I think it gets to that eventually. I don't know if that's the immediate intention though. Yeah, I know that's just. But I honestly had never thought of it that way though. But it's funny though. I mean,
you have a trade in your circle. You got gold.
Oh, of course.
You got gold in life.
Of course. It's like somebody who buys a pickup truck. You're going to be the go-to person anytime somebody wants
money's
to move.
Left on the dash for gas, and you're like going, yeah, you know what? I'm not buying a pickup truck ever again.
There you are.
I got a Corolla.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny you say I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm just thinking maybe they're thinking that way, or they also kind of laugh it off, but they also thinking that it's our kid connects with that. Mm-hmm. Like they have a certain natural ability to through that. Like they were doing something as a
There's an
kid,
interest.
Legos or sandbox or whatever, or they were always watching when trucks were coming by and work was being done, right? So it's just like, it's there.
It is. I mean, what I'm seeing is I am seeing that genuine interest. So, and
It's
I mean,
good to hear that.
well, it's incredibly refreshing. It's what kind of puts more wind in my sails to continue pushing this forward. So it's, I mean, there already is enough there. It's just to see it kind of gives me that extra push. There are quite a few parents that, for example, like they even write in the intake questionnaire, what do you want to call it, that, oh, my son is in grade 6 and he loves hands-on stuff. So I think a trade is going to be interesting for him, but I want to have some more information to be able to get the ball rolling, kind of think ahead. Yeah. Love it. Fantastic. It's funny. We were kind of talking about this earlier. I kind of want to bring it back up because not a lot of people understand or kind of realize this, because the whole university piece, and we talked about how good number of students get into a certain program and they back right out after a year or two. They say, you know, the same for me. Well, guess what? You lost all that money. It's gone.
You didn't lose it. You know where it went.
True. However, if you're doing an apprenticeship, a plumbing apprenticeship, you do a year, 2 years, and you say, hey, you know what, I don't think plumbing's for me, for whatever reason, you haven't lost anything. You've been paid that whole time. And you've acquired a really good skill set that,
Very good point.
If, for example, toilet breaks or sink needs to be replaced or whatever it is, you know how to do that. And you're going to be the person that your family member is going to call and harass and try to pay you in sandwiches. But plumbing is
still, like, I would like to say that trades are connected. Mm-hmm. So even, and I know there's a lot of jokes between electricians and plumbers and all that. We all have the jokes, right? Yeah. But I just think that if you are hands-on and you are a trade, a plumber, and you could easily move to HVAC. You could easily move to electrical. You can easily shift to other trades as well too, right? I mean, and that happens a lot.
And
right?
that.
But you got a good point. They didn't lose anything.
No, they did not. They've been paid and paid well that entire time.
Yeah.
So,
and they might revisit it again later on. But also the other thing is that you'll make great relationships when you're working with other trades. You're respectful of what. So if you were a plumber and you became a framer, you're respectful of what to expect for the plumber that's going to come on site. And then all of a sudden they need this done, and then you do it and you'll get it ready. And you'll be like, well, nobody does this for me. Oh, well, I used to be a plumber.
So I know what it's like.
Yeah, I know what it's like. So then I'm on your same page, right? Which is totally true. Yeah. I like that.
So yeah.
Where do you see, like, how are you, okay, now that you've got it started, and I know that when we first started, you did the show, and then you started trying to get more traction. You were getting resistance. I guess not so much resistance. You weren't having questions answered.
Yeah, and there wasn't the follow through or the buy-in as much as I thought there would have been initially, but then that came later on.
But now the ball is rolling.
Yes, it is.
Parents and teachers and kids are now paying attention. Where do you see this whole Georgetown skills? Where do you see it going now? It's going to eventually overtake everything, and you're either going to have to make the decision yourself. This is my full-time gig at that point, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to cross the bridge when I get to it. I certainly want to take this as far as I can. Yeah. And really, like, shoot to kill. Like, not just show up for participation ribbons, because I see what's at play here, and I see the value. Like, this to me is purposeful stuff. Incredibly purposeful stuff. I can't tell you how much enjoyment I had in being able to present 3 co-op placements to a high school to get their kids out there and working and get them experience. Like, that to me it's the traditional teaching somebody how to fish, not just giving them a fish type of situation. So that speaks to me on so many levels. You know, my background and my story and the resistance I faced at home in getting things off the ground. So this is like purpose, like you wouldn't believe. I certainly going to take it. I mean, I know next year we're in conversations with the local board there to do more presentations to more high schools and grade 9 and grade 10. I mentioned grade 11 as well as an option because, like I mentioned, I found that they were very, very much engaged and very into what we were talking about. So we'll see what happens with it, but I do know that the intention is to expand those school presentations next year. And yeah, like I'm excited. Like it's, I don't know exactly what, I couldn't crystal ball this if I could, but I'm going to take this as far.
But I love that it's growing like that. Yeah. And are you going to try to get government assistance?
See, things I don't know how to stick handle that. Like that's a tricky
That's almost
part.
like talk about influencers. Like you almost have to know somebody to get into that circle to potentially request funds.
And that comes with so many strings attached.
That's my concern, is that the
That's
last
the
thing
other
you
part.
want is like, you've got a great idea, you're actually making connections, then we muddy the waters.
Right, exactly.
We don't want to do that, right?
No. There are some other ideas that I have, which, I mean, I'm going to keep them close just for now, just because I have to see how they're going to play out, right? And I don't want to tip my hand just yet, but there are some ideas that I have that might circumvent that. So, because I agree, the government piece.
See, my problem with the government piece is that the moment that they see you, I guess, succeeding, for lack of a better word, you actually connecting.
Yes.
The first thing I see them possibly doing is trying to throw in mandates saying that you need to focus on these groups.
Right.
And I have a problem with it because these groups are kind of politically favored.
Yes.
But surprise, surprise, morons. These groups are not interested in getting into trade. So why are you going to go to a group that's not interested in getting in trade? Why don't we go to groups that are very interested in trade? They just don't have the guidance or the know-how of how to get into trades.
And then because of that, they're choosing other options because they're easier for them.
Then you're losing that trade, that future tradesperson.
Tap into and engage.
Yes.
100%. That's what this is.
That's just kind of like, is that crazy pill talk here? Because
I'm with you on that one 100%.
Yeah.
Because why it's like trying to get somebody to do something that really
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, they don't care to do it. Like,
well, but you check the right boxes,
right?
So we need you to do it.
Right.
No.
if some of them are, I mean, whomever it is, if some of them are actually interested and would be really good at it, I have no problems with that.
Right.
But if it's just for the sake of putting a body in a position, for the sake of saying, yep, like you said, check a box, you got to understand there are bigger stakes at play here. So my piece is just getting those who are interested and try to engage that interest and show the benefits. Like, you're right. Are there going to be moments where, I mean, I don't even know how that would be. Like, I don't even think that they would care to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, regardless. Like,
the other big hurdle that I get that the bigger companies are tied in with all the unions, so then they have a lot of apprenticeships come in this way, and
yes, they do.
There's a steady stream. It's just a highway of tradespeople that are just getting in, and then you get into that world where you're just another cog, and you come into the machine, and you'll learn your hours, and you like it, whatever. It's great, but I get when I try to speak to any small business tradespeople owners, and you mention, you mentioned apprenticeships. You mentioned all kinds of opportunity, co-ops, all this other stuff. They kind of hum and haw because of paperwork, because of they didn't have success with the kids kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So you have one bad candidate, you're going to get turned off.
It's going to be a residue for the rest of it at that point, right? So it's just like, is there a way to streamlining that? So then when you speak to a potential business that wants to bring in somebody, they don't have that face.
Right.
Because I get that all the time, because I get asked all the time, can you introduce me? I'm like, sure, I've met so many people through the show and through my network, and I'll do it. But then every time I have a conversation with these people, they give me that face. It's like, I don't really want, like, I've gone down this road. It's a pain in the ass, and it doesn't work all the time, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I get it. Like, moving forward, if this really kind of goes in a bigger, in another direction, there's going to have to be conversations. Like, if it's a situation where I can provide insights and I guess whatever it is, and ground level feedback to these organizations, government or whomever, to help improve those processes, like, that's something that I would be willing to do, like, in terms of trying to, I guess, if you want to call it lobby or whatever it is. I don't want to get tied into anything politically. Like,
muddy waters, man.
But it's just like, listen, you want ground level feedback, which is incredibly valuable in any situation. Here it is, because people are talking to me. I can be that conduit.
Are you compiling data now? Are you starting to at that point?
Not at that point yet, but that will be something that is something that I would like to get to in the future.
It's valuable, eh?
It is.
You're having conversations that they're not having.
Exactly. And the thing is, people would much rather talk to
you.
Right. So the other side too, and we talked about individuals getting into a trade and then quitting or leaving, right? That's something I want to know as well. I want to see if there's any statistical information that can be provided as to what the percentage of that is and the why behind that.
The why is critical.
Because, we all know that there's going to be a percentage, no matter what the job is, career, profession. How does this measure up to those? Is it more, is it less? But still, why? Is it a workplace issue? Is it just maybe they did not realize, for example, that this trade was what they thought it was, for example. And if that's the case, then yeah, you need to be putting out more explore the trades programs out there for people to get their feet 2 weeks at this trade, 2 weeks at that, and 2 weeks at that, to see with confidence, yeah, I'm getting into whatever it is, plumbing, electrical. I know that that's what I want to do.
There's some funny marketing going on too as well. I want to go back to the university example that you said about which schools are, kids are getting into and the prestige behind it and all this other stuff, but they're not giving you up the data on the kid left or so on.
Yeah.
I can only assume that the government has got their political speaker box going on. We need X amount of people getting into trades. This is a program that we're doing. We're potentially going to get this many. But then the conversation stops short right there. They don't talk about what percentage of those kids got in and got out.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just lost interest in it as a result, or maybe went to a different part of the trades, or maybe 154 different trades. They probably chose something else, and
that's fine too.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the purpose of government, is just, you're supposed to be very transparent and show all this information, but they're not.
No.
They take the soundbite and leave it at that.
My question is, are they actually tracking it? And do they have that information?
Take the 27 million from OYAP and then start tracking it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of wasteful spending, right?
That to me, like, it's like with any business operation. Like, we want to know what's working and what's not. If it's not working, why is it not working? So
fix it.
If it means hiring an independent, and who knows if this has been done or not? I think I mentioned this before. Get an independent review going, non-government tied, and get them to look at and say, okay, well, yes, we have, say, 15% of all individuals applying into or getting into apprenticeships that don't end up finishing their apprenticeships. These are the reasons why. Have those conversations. Truthfully,
so we don't have that data.
No,
I don't see any of that data anywhere.
It's not presented,
because then we would actually be able to figure out what is working, what isn't working.
Sure.
Then you can actually fix it.
100%.
Make life easier.
Because is it legit because somebody just did not have the image line up with reality of what plumbing was, or is it just simply that the workplace environment was toxic, or was it because the whole, I guess, going through the exam process and there wasn't enough support there?
The suits thing. That's not what lawyers are really all about.
Right.
So they probably get onto a job site and they're like, well, I kind of thought construction was like this, and it's not.
Mm-hmm. So implementing that school that's doing that Explore the Trades program is really hitting the nail on the head.
Really,
in my opinion, because I get it. Why would you want to sign up for something that's a 30-year ordeal when you're kind of going into it with a vision of what you think it is? You don't know what it is, but if you're actually out there for a week or two, I think a week or two is a good sample size. It's just, how do you line things up to have employers facilitate that? That's where the...
Am I fair to say, Larry, that tradespeople at first, when they get into the industry, don't think for themselves because they're not exactly sure how to get in or how to get started or what to do, and they don't want to make a mistake or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the moment that they learn the game, construction people think for themselves a lot. You know what I mean by that?
Somewhat.
Because like business owners, you go back to tradespeople that start their own business or go on their own after they've learned some skills and they've worked for companies or whatever. Then they figure, okay, well, I want to start my own business. I want to have my first van, second van, whatever. I want to grow. But in the back of their head, they're always thinking about how to improve their business, how to expand it, how to hire a new apprentice, so they're always cause and effect. But the starting gate, when they get started, they're just Seabiscuit, just running out there, and they're just like, I'm trying to prove my worth. I'm trying to be the best I possibly can.
Right.
Keep my mouth, shut.
Don't cause any issues.
Don't ripples, no nothing like that. But I think that the moment that they realize, okay, well, this is the game. This is how it works. I want to go on my own, so now I'm going to run my business, and I've learned from what I can, and I'm going to speak to other people to learn more. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was saying that, tradespeople think more for themselves after they get into the game, but they don't think that much for themselves at the start of the game.
I think, now that we've kind of, I think you're correct in saying that. At least
that's how I see it. That's how I view it, right?
Yeah.
So you see those young kids getting in, and they're nervous.
Of course.
They're very, very nervous about making a mistake.
Of course.
Right? But there's also a lot of tradespeople that are like, they're not going to frown upon you if you do make a mistake. They'll actually listen. This is how I would have done it. And then they'll educate you. They'll teach you, right?
It depends on,
high-rise commercial, and you're just another monkey and just keep your nose down and that's it, right?
Yeah.
I get it. But I mean, if you start getting into custom, you get a lot of people. There's going to be bad apples everywhere. But I'm just saying for the kids, like okay, it's not a bad thing that you're not questioning or you're keeping quiet at the beginning. Like, you'll eventually learn and think for yourself.
Just keep your eyes open.
Exactly.
Like what they say, it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something.
Yeah.
And I say that in my presentation. So 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. There's no question that in those 10,000 hours, you're probably going to be going, what the hell am I doing at some point? You're going to be questioning whether or not you're in the right direction. I think everybody, and I tell them this, everybody, no matter what situation, relationship, career, are going to have those moments.
Yep.
Right? You have the 4 seasons, winter months, which depending on if you're dialed into your sweet spot, your like where you should be, those winter months obviously don't feel as long or as harsh.
But the bad moments are also going to resurface even when everything's going good.
Of course.
That's just...
They just hit you differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'll react differently.
Of course.
You've learned from it, right? But I mean, if you do start as an apprentice, run a business, start your own shop,
it's constantly...
there's going to be problems, and
100%.
you got to solve it, right?
100%. Yeah, it's not going to be smooth sailing no matter like what. It's you're going to run challenges no matter what you do.
That's why I keep going back to the tradespeople think for themselves. They try to fix things properly and make sure that they don't make that same mistake twice, because the same mistake twice costs money.
Of course.
As a small business owner.
Time, yeah.
If you're just an apprentice, you're part of the union, you're on a high rise, and then you could have made a small mistake, it doesn't really cost money right at that point. But then it doesn't really affect you. But when you're paying all the bills, it affects you. So then guess what? I'm not making that mistake twice.
No, you're dialing in 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, the bottom line is that there's all this, I wouldn't say it's misinformation. It's just these kids are just surprised by all the construction white noise where they just don't know where to go or how to start. How do I begin? That's all it is, right?
Yeah, and then like we talked about, like, where can it lead to? Like, you talked about business and all that, so they don't know. Okay, so you get into whatever trade it is. Okay, because a lot of kids are thinking more long term.
Yeah.
They don't want to know that that's all they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. Maybe they're thinking already, okay, well, how can I move this forward in a different direction? How can I use the skill set and kind of get into whatever it is? So being able to present those opportunities in a way saying, hey, listen, yeah, you could do this, do it for a couple, however many years, get really good at it. And then you can consider doing X or this or that. You have options, which is a good selling point to it. Whereas in some career options, once you get into that career, there's no room for growth there. You're locked in.
You got a roof and that's it.
Yeah. You're locked in.
But also make the relationships and build those relationships out there, because you're going to maybe potentially one day want to do what you see somebody else online doing. And then you'll ask them, how did you get from this to there? And then they'll give you some insight, and then you take that information and you apply it to your own business, and then you grow from there. I think everybody in construction at some point wants to grow and get to another level and try this and try that, right?
100%.
And have other opportunities too, right? So you go from one vehicle, 2 vehicles to a fleet. And you keep on growing. But that means that you just need to have the mindset to do that properly. And don't jump right in, right?
No, like the biggest mistake I see in a lot of people, and what they do is they try to blow things up too quickly. And then
they're in a hurry, but that's just like society today, man.
It is. But and the other thing too is, like, I try to tell in this presentation too, like, when people get into things, they try to be good and they try to do everything.
Delegate.
Right. And it's like, you have to understand, like, try to focus on doing 1 or 2 things, but do them extremely well. Be the expert in that line of whatever it is that you're doing, because you have 100% up here.
Yeah.
If you have 10 things here, you're going to give 5% there, 2% there. Like, if you have 1 or 2 things, you're able to give 100% focus on those 1 or 2 things. So don't think you're going to get into it and you're going to do every single bloody thing. It's just not going to happen.
So maybe that's how they start. They start the same way. They start thinking, how do I start in trades?
Right.
Just start focusing more on how to get in there. Don't start worrying about everything. I got to get certain tool. I got to get a certain vehicle. I got to get certain all this. No, you don't. Just start getting all the information. Start getting all the information first and weed out the good, bad, and ugly information. And then just go from there, right?
And there's like, even like, not to sound whatever, but like, even like when you're calling, say, some like Skill Trades Ontario and Ministry and so on, there is a lot of different information that's being given. It's finding the consistent stuff, and kind of, and that's part of what obviously I was trying to do with some of these questions that were coming into the group, was getting the consistent and most accurate and reliable info. So,
I mean, you got to give the government some credit for actually just continuously pushing this stuff, and you see a lot of promoting of it, a lot of programs and getting out there. But if it's just shit being thrown at a wall and they're just hoping stuff sticks,
it's not.
That's where I have a problem with it, right? Like, why don't we just focus it? It's funny, we're telling kids to stay focused, and then our own government's not staying focused, right? So it's like, how do we get this message? That's why I started the show. I was like, we're on our own.
No, 100%. And this promotion of the trades and all that has to be an inside job. Has to be. Because let's face it, there's no authenticity when somebody in a suit and tie is going up there saying to a student, you need to get into a skilled trade. Well, who the heck are you? Truthfully, kids are going to see, okay, no, look, I want to see somebody who's in the trades, who's done well with it. I want to hear what they have to say about it. And that's part of what I'm doing, is trying to build the relationships and give the face time and bring these skilled people to the forefront. Like my buddy Raul, for example. I will say, like, kind of tie off to what we were saying in the previous part about the government. There are some individuals, like in the ministry, for example. One individual I connected with out in one of the eastern branches was excellent to deal with. Like, you could tell he really cares and is passionate. When I told him what I was doing, because he obviously he's wanting to know, okay, who are you and why do you want to know this stuff? So I said, I've started this initiative and I'm trying to guide. And once he heard that, he lit up. He said, oh, amazing. You're helping us is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you all the information you need. So, okay. You're now my go-to. So if any of my friends or anybody that I know in this group that has questions, I'm sending them to you. No problem.
So there's a lot of communication going on between?
There has been, especially when some of those, I guess, stickier questions have come up. Because, like, and me, I just want to get an idea as well.
Yeah.
If I call you guys, what's that process like? What's that process like, in a sense? It was kind of like, honestly, dealing with like a telecommunications company, truthfully. You get transferred, and I'm just like, okay, this is...
You got disconnected.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on that note, there's two, like, I would say to all the kids that you're actually, if you finally get boots on the ground, you're on the job site, expect resistance.
Of course.
Expect negativity, but don't take it personally, and learn from it and try to problem solve, because guess what? Part of your wheelhouse is problem solving. And then on the other side of that flip is the employer. Don't be so quick to just dismiss a new person getting into the industry, because you don't know much about them, and you don't know if they're a phenom or anything like that. You don't know if they're actually just going to connect really well. You just haven't given them that opportunity yet.
Exactly.
So don't already paint a negative without even knowing yet.
It's amazing. And I think it's 150% what you just said. Like, we tend to write some people off too quickly. And I've done it in the past too, where I've kind of cast somebody aside thinking, okay, this is just, in a negative, paint them in a negative light. And then you see what they're able to achieve.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, I did not see that coming. People can light up and turn it on at any point. You don't know what hidden potential they have. And sometimes, and I tell students about this too, environment has a lot to do with that.
Oh, 100%.
Environment has a lot to do with that. You have somebody, and I can even say from my own experience, like what a change of scenery can do, or just minor things could do to your achieving your potential. You know what I mean? So exactly, even just, and simple things on the employer side, simple things. Like, it doesn't have to be, you have to buy them lunch every single day. You don't, but just like simple appreciation. Give a damn about your people.
Are you going to start, Larry, like, I see your program, I see the group and everything growing a lot. Are you going to start offering, I guess, some sort of way that the kids can come back at you as they get started? I've got this scenario, this came up, how should I handle it?
In terms of...
Just some more guidance, right? Because the thing is, I don't think when it comes to a new apprentice or a new tradesperson getting into the industry, okay, off to the woods and fend for yourself.
I would not want that to happen. I would want to continue that relationship. If like the mentorship piece is just, it's an ongoing thing for me.
Yeah.
And it's much like I mentioned to you, the mentors that I've had, it was an ongoing thing. It wasn't just like, here.
You just drop a line and you just go, here, listen, this came up.
Yeah.
This happened.
What do you think?
How should I handle it?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about how to handle this or whatever.
If I don't have the answer, then it's one of those things where I'll find somebody that does.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the other experienced individuals in the group.
Yeah.
Is because, like I said, we have so many different tradespeople in that group that that more than likely would have encountered that situation.
There's no new situations.
No.
There's only new ways that certain tradespeople have reacted to those situations. And there's always the good way to do it and the bad way to do it and then the hard way to do it. So it's just, why not just, before you react, find out from others on how they handled it. And you never know, it might actually help you handle the situation a little bit better and then diffuse it, say. I'm not saying it's all going to be negative. Could also be positive.
Of course,
maybe you've got an opportunity where you're working with somebody that you love. Great environment, great employer, great tradespeople that you work with, everything's great. But then now you're being offered another position and you're wondering, do I leave? Do I stay? Have that conversation with people that have been in that situation and then see what they did or how they handled it. But definitely don't burn bridges, but also if there's an opportunity on the table, you might want to take it. You might want to consider it.
Absolutely. Like even just exactly, how do you preserve a relationship moving forward when you're trying to grow, but do it in such a way that you're kind of leaving that door open in case you had to.
Never know.
100%.
Or cross paths, because I say construction, you don't know the tradesperson that started with you. They might grow a business that's massive and they might need a specific trade company that you're building to be their go-to.
That's right.
And now you've nurtured that business and now you're nurturing that relationship. Don't ever forget that. Don't dismiss it and just walk away and don't chase the money at that point. I know a lot of kids are just chasing the money saying, I'll go where it's like $2 more an hour. No, don't. You never know.
It'll cost you more in the end.
In the end, that's the thing about it, right?
Interesting stuff. Yeah,
so there's a lot going on. I love that you're seeing that there's a lot more interest from parents, from our teachers, guidance counselors. It's great. I know that a lot of people have said we need to get, the shop classes back in school. I think that's a mistake. I think it's too little too late. I think by the time you go through all the red tape and set that up and then you get a school to sort of nurture all that, it's a waste of time and money. I think you're better off trying to educate these kids to get into the industry properly and then get them connected to the proper people and then let them find their voice in the industry and then get into that trade and then try it out, see if it works.
And there's so many different things that you can do without having to, have a full-fledged shop operation. Like if I look at, for example, what my friend Sean at the Halton Catholic District School Board Pathways team is doing, they're doing an amazing job, I'll tell you. And essentially he's bringing stuff to them. So they're doing woodworking stuff. They're doing crosses, and then he's doing collaborative work between the grade 7s and 8s and grade 12s at the local high school, the feeder high school, where they're building an altar, like in their woodworking, and you have those grade 12 students who are really far ahead in their journey, and they're able to share that excitement with these kids. Like they're firing on all cylinders over there. So they don't have a shop class to do it, but they're doing it in such creative ways with what they have that is engaging and keeping these kids excited. So grade 7 and 8, and we talked about that being the ideal range to get the conversation going. Fantastic, get that going. I've had the opportunity to talk to some of those students, and it's kind of hit or miss at that age bracket. I get it. But then we start getting now grade 9 with the tech credit.
Yeah.
If that is handled properly, you can continue that and continue building that fire. And then you get, for example, you have these career days, grade 10-ish, grade 9 or whatever, and grade 11 in some cases. And then we have individuals like myself and others in the community that can come and speak and really present them with the facts.
Yep. There's back to the social media. There's a lot of people that have built nice businesses and also nice platforms on social media where I see their shops and I'm envious. I'm like going, that's actually really nice. I've seen that shop grow. I've seen that business grow, and I've seen it go from a garage, basement, whatever it is, to an actual legit shop. Mm-hmm. I'm telling the kids that are listening, don't be surprised if you actually reach out to any one of them and go, listen, can I just come to your shop and just be a fly on the wall, and I'll work for free. I'll sweep the floors. I'll ask you questions about machinery. I'll even, teach me a few things. And all of a sudden, you don't have to wait at school level, government level. I'm pretty sure I feel confident enough to say that anybody that you reach out on social media that is approachable and you like and you've been speaking to them DM-wise, they will say yes for you to come to my shop.
100%.
And then you're in the environment now. And like you said earlier, environment has a lot to do with it.
Get on site.
Just get on site. You'll get into a metal fabricating shop. If you want to get into the iron workers or the welding or that, get into, obviously there's a lot of wood framing, wood trimming, whatever shops. There's that, right? But there's also, you get into working with tile guys and see what their shops are all about or whatever. Fabricators for stone. This is huge now. I'm talking to so many people right now that there's so much fabrication going on in stone these days. They don't have the workforce for it. They need more people to do it.
Right.
And that's like what, if anybody's paying attention to anything, stone fabrication is just being exploded. Like, it's just insane, some of the craziness ideas that are coming up with right now.
Take note.
You might want to take a huge note and then reach out to them. Go, listen, I will work for free just to be this environment. It will work. I guarantee you people will say, sure, come on in.
See, the thing is, what I'm starting to see in all these, like the individuals coming to the group, like these are very, like so many passionate people out there that love what they do, that they would have no issue sharing that with anyone else. They know what the long game is. They know what they're doing on a number of levels. Maybe somebody did it for them and they're returning that. I tell all the kids about the power of social media. I say there's always somebody that's willing to accept your outstretched hand.
Totally.
I remember when I reached out to Bruce in Connecticut for the very first time 10 years ago on a forum. I'm thinking, here, let me just write this guy a message just to pick his brain about, because he's in my industry, and writes me back. I'm thinking, oh wow, like that kept my fire going, and like him and I've been in touch ever since.
Yeah.
And
if you never sent the message,
you never would have made the contact.
Exactly. Right? So if you don't ask it, you'll never get an answer, right?
And you know what? Maybe out of 5-10 people, most of them are going to give you the time of day, but I bet you'll get one.
There you will, for sure. And I mean, spending some time to actually send out a dozen messages or even 24 messages, that's not going to take you that long to do it. No. If you're on a job site already, if you're working and you're on the toilet, send it when you're on the toilet.
There you go. It. Exactly. And the truth is, you know, to me, if this is, obviously I'm talking about Bruce who's in Connecticut, he's not close by any means, but somebody who is, maybe that could become a co-op place. Maybe that could grow into a OEAP, that could grow into an apprenticeship. You don't know. And me as an employer looking at somebody who's sending me a message like that, I'm thinking, this individual is incredibly engaged.
Yep.
And I don't care if you have no experience at that point. I'm actually okay with that.
Well, you're hungry.
And that means all the difference in the world. And that's why I tell these kids, no experience, depending on how you handle it, is actually a big asset to you. It could be a serious game changer. Yeah. Because, and I told them, what I do is very technical. Those that have hired on with me, they had no experience. They didn't even know how a pool worked when they came on. But they were eager. And I tell them the story about the one student that, and I said, if you have to be careful how these employers find little ways to test you in ways that you don't even realize. So me asking for a reference or references. We finished the interview. Okay, cool. You can talk to talk. Okay, can I have 3 references, please? It seems like an easy BS task, but the truth is there's so much that's tied to that, because I want to test your follow through. I want to see how eager you are. And this has happened where individuals have taken days, or I've had to remind them.
See, that makes no sense. Then
you're done. That's it. But the one that is like within 30 minutes, I get the ding in my email with the references.
Yep.
This guy's game on.
Yeah.
Or you ask, hey, listen, I see you don't have any experience in this line of work. I want to see how they respond to that criticism, because that's what that is.
Yeah.
And if they're just like, well, I don't know. And,
well, anybody that's going into an interview, you should be asking yourself, how do I answer all the holes that I have in my opportunities?
Yeah.
That's as simple as that.
So I'm getting trying to coach them into things. So the value of what I'm presenting is not just skilled trades. It's just general. Yes, that's the context.
But you're also sharing communicational skills too, right?
Yes.
Like they have to, because the thing is, fine, you could be the best skilled person out there. You can have all these tricks, in your toolbox or whatever. But if you can't communicate, then how are you going to handle clients? How are you going to handle employers?
If you're not personable, if you can't connect with people, exactly. You could be the best out there. Nobody's going to care.
It won't mean anything.
Nobody cares. People would be okay with hiring somebody that's good, not amazing, but they're able to trust and connect with that individual on different levels.
I know you've had a lot of success in the Halton area, Georgetown area, and that. You think it's going to be the same when you start tapping into other areas?
I'm kind of waiting to see. If it kind of goes beyond that. I mean, right now I'm kind of focusing on Halton because that's close to home, and that's obviously, like, we love the community. So it kind of started off as a community piece, because to me we've done like fundraisers and we've donated and all that, and that stuff is incredibly important. But to me, when you're giving your time and and kind of going about it that way. Like it's that much more impactful, I think. If the opportunity does come up where things kind of expand and I feel that I can help more outside of the Halton area, I would absolutely run at that opportunity for sure.
I'm just being honest. I don't think you'd have much success in Toronto. I think that you'll have a lot of success in neighboring cities outside of Toronto, right? And we know that the Greater Toronto area is like 17 cities in total or whatever. But the thing is that I don't think that Toronto will embrace it as much.
Right.
Because it's kind of, Toronto's got a chip on its shoulder where you're walking in going, oh, by the way you guys are doing it is wrong.
Right.
And here's some ideas that I want to try that I think will work because they've been working in other cities, smaller cities, and communities have been embracing this.
Yes.
But that's where it's a shame. And I think in construction, get rid of the ego.
Of course.
Like if we all know there's a problem, we all know there's a shortage, we all know it's going to take a decade to fill that shortage, even if we started yesterday, which we're not starting yesterday.
We're behind as it is.
We're behind as it is, right? So it's like, get rid of the chip and let's start focusing on the problem and work the problem.
Work the problem, which is what tradespeople do, right?
That's where the thinking comes in.
It's honestly wherever, like if I can see that there's a legit buy-in, like I would hate to go to a place that doesn't genuinely want, or if they're just checking a box, I don't feel like I'm really fulfilling. It doesn't hit to my heart. No. If I could see that they're going to be kids that are really going to want to learn and kind of engage with what I'm giving them, I'll go wherever. I don't care. Like as long as they know that I'm helping them in that sense, send me wherever.
Larry, this has been great, man. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
I wish you a huge amount of success, man.
Thank you.
That it's a lot of work, first of all. It's a lot of emailing, phone calling, times being spent to just set up these engagements and then just grow it. But I totally see it being huge. And I totally see you actually producing good tradespeople. That's navigating them through this really confusing world, which is, it's fair enough to say that it is confusing because there's a lot of biasness going on. There's a lot of BS going on. And you have to be careful in the beginning where you spend your time and money learning to get into the industry. There's going to be a lot of advantage, like this, people taking advantage of you just to get into this program, spend this money, spend this time, and then it doesn't benefit you. So just make sure that it benefits, and then don't be afraid of reaching out to professionals out there, and they will speak the truth to you. So, I mean, if I was a plumber, I'd be calling 12 plumbers, asking them, listen, if I do this skills program right now, it's going to cost me 10 grand for 3 months. Is this going to help me or hinder me when I try to get a job with you? Let them tell you their version. And that's it. And then just if you're constantly, man, we estimate all the time. You know what I mean? You got clients all the time. And if you're getting 5 estimates and 3 are in line with each other and then 2 are out of whack, one's low, one's really high, disregard the top and bottom and focus on the 3.
Exactly.
So if you're speaking to 12 plumbers and 10 plumbers tell you the same thing, ignore the other 2 and focus on what the 10 have told you. That's kind of the truth. Yeah. And go down that path. And it's only going to benefit your career getting into trades.
100% is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a job for life.
That's all it is, man. Larry La Gamba, thank you very much, man. The Georgetown Skilled Trades Mentorship Program. Larry La Gamba at hotmail.com. And on Instagram, it's larry.lagamba. And that's it, bro. Appreciate your time coming out. And I'm looking forward to the next one when you come out with another, whatever it's going to be.
It might be actually, I have a trombone at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what I played. That's what I played for the longest time. Yeah.
I would love that one. We just got to adjust the levels a little bit.
Because right now, I don't know what else I'm going to bring you.
Oh, there's always something.
Like, man. I spent $2 on this.
But see, you do something like that, it just makes other people try to one-up it, right? That's the thing about it. That's what I love about it.
We have a drum kit on the side.
I wouldn't mind that. I think that'd be great.
Thank you for the support, and thank you for having me.
No, anytime, man. Anytime at all, and all the best to you, man. I appreciate it. Angelina, we are out of here.